we do see the Jarvan and the Nocturne, two of those premier early game bot laners off the table. And it's actually going to be TES taking away the Lulu. Honestly, potentially a gift in disguise over to Weibo. It does mean now we have to think about the Milio Lucian as one of the premier bot lanes left. That Nami has been taken away. But Milio Lucian, they kind of do just savagely beat you to death in lane. And they kind of just get the cheap mid lane prior. We do get the Karma removed. Ashe and Seraphine are on the table. I mean, when you consider both of these two bot lane options are up, there we go.
And now it's kind of forcing Weibo to answer in some way. Do you pick the Ashe or do you go for something that answers into it? We saw Jhin Karma as a response to the Ashe Seraphine by Weibo in their series against AL. Not going to be the case this time with that Karma taken away already in the ban phase, so it looks like Ezreal and Annie will be the selection instead.
And this might be one of the most clean-cut openings for a TES 1-2-3 I've ever seen. You have the Seraphine part, you were not robbed of the Ashe part, and so you slam a Xin Zhao in the middle, and suddenly they have got themselves a very, very clear way to play the game. Elk, with that Ezreal, will have plenty of counterplay, being able to stay a screen away, and by picking that Ezreal with Karma gone, it makes me think we're looking for another roaming support, something that could get a lot done on the map, as it will be the Bard, a playmaker for Hung picked up, and something that is particularly good, being able to use that Tempered Fate on the double immobiles if they can survive the lane phase against Ashe Seraphine.
Yeah, there's the Bard. Something that not going to give you a lot of power in the laning phase, but combined with this Annie, and if you get Jiejie on a good jungler, will have a lot of success. And so as we head into the second ban phase, it looks like right now Weibo are trying to avoid the lane dominance that top esports will possess, and instead looking for picks across the map with this Ezreal Bard alongside the Annie for Xiaohu in the mid lane.
Do you see the Lee Sin taken away from Jiejie, who played it pretty damn well in some previous series throughout the split, despite not being able to pick up a win on it yet. As far as the other early game aggressive champions, there's not really a lot left. I mean, there's Neferi as a carry champion you could kind of pair in that you'd want to slap with a Annie. Pretty decent for diving onto the Seraphine and the Ashe. But Olaf is a champion that comes to mind. It was something that Zika has played with the Ashe Seraphine in the game, so it is a thing to keep in mind considering Weibo have got themselves last pick.
This really is the dream composition for top esports, though. This is what BLG found themselves running a lot during their run in First Stand that got them the first LPL domestic title or international title, I should say, in quite some time. We'll see what exactly they decide to finish this draft off with, though. Typically something like a Mel is very valuable in this situation, although the Annie is not necessarily the best matchup for it. As we see a Gnar getting locked in early for Zoyan, getting himself on a bit more of a counter pick. Or a carry pick, I should say. Sorry, not counter.
No, I wasn't disagreeing with you, though. I'm just debating how I feel about the Ahri this game. You do kind of just get insta-stunned by the Annie when you go in, as it will be Zika matching carry for carry, picking up the Ambessa, another good tool for breaking apart an Ashe Seraphine game. When you have the Neferi, when you have the Ambessa, and you have the Bard to disrupt, you could cause a lot of very quick and very brutal damage to a comp as fragile as TES. Is going to be very heavily on Tian come team fights to use that Crescent Guard to keep away the divers. But we got plenty of game to play before then. Neferi, not exactly the greatest early game skirmisher, but with a bit of map mobility, Jiejie has plenty of potential to go for some early rubbish on the invades. Tian on the Xin, not as much, but we've still seen him get away with it, even just straight up walking to the enemy red buff level 1, sneaking around vision to do it. So, once again, even if it didn't happen in game 1, keep your eye out for these junglers early and where their mid laners go to enable them.
In top esports, pushing side lanes, both with a lot of range advantage, that should give the Xin Zhao an opportunity to get involved early, to try to get top esports back into the series and tie it up at 1-1. Weibo have the opportunity to do something pretty crazy. Again, when you look at the talent on this roster, maybe not too unexpected that they would have a competitive series against TES, but that just hasn't happened so far this season. Their only wins are against WE, the worst team in the group, and an IG team that has been on a downward spiral since about the halfway point of this split. this would be the statement win that Weibo are looking for as we head on to the raid for Game 2. We filled in rather nicely here in Shanghai. Crowd pretty active on a Tuesday. Not bad.
Staying alive as we have both junglers. Once again, very boring. Going off and just taking regular camps. Boo, no craziness happening yet. But it's only level 1. You know, maybe I get robbed from watching 2 psycho jungle paths in a row. But hopefully we get a bit more action in some of the lanes. Considering we have 2 pretty good enablers between the Annie and the Ahri in this middle lane. Particularly once that level 6 comes online. Zika taking some early skirmishing back and forth with Zwayon in the top lane. Having that fleet footwork does mean that the TES jungler should be able to shake it off. Yay! Jiejie's doing something!
Goes for the red buff. Now looks for this Gromp. Tien doesn't have smite, so Jiejie's going to be able to jump up here, use the Q, and steal it away. Nicely done here by the Weibo jungler, who ends up striking first in our counter-jungling battle. Instant proc of the Conqueror thanks to the Daugs. And he'll be able to get on out safely and even potentially try to continue harassment onto the Xin Zhao.
Oh, Tian was kind of calling the bluff there whether the camp was going to still be here or not. But he is on a ward. His smite will be up before Jiejie's, so we have to keep an eye and see. But it looks like both of these junglers are going to forfeit the dogs and go off somewhere else. Considering which camps have been taken, Jiejie is in a leading spot because now he will get level 3 off of this. Tian will not get level 3 off of Wolves plus any camp unless he skips everything and goes to Krugs first, because you need one of those edge camps on your first clear to hit the level 3 mark. So we'll have to see if we see more pressure from Weibo. Will leave the Krugs up and just continue the regular pathing into bottom side with a moderate but not too significant lead in the jungle role already.
So good start here for Weibo once again. Here in the early game, a lot of that again coming out of that jungle matchup where Tien has not had his way just yet. He's going to actually skip the red buff and go for the crab at level 2 because he has the pushing bottom lane. That is the benefit of this Ashe Seraphine. You're able to bail out your jungler just a little bit as Tien will hit level 3 off of this and be able to make his way back towards his bottom side camps.
Ezreal a lot more reliant on having a Karma with him to be able to get anything done, as Hung gets a good stun to keep himself not completely drained of the health bar. Some heavy trading in the top lane. This could turn into a solo kill when Zwayon gets Mega, but I'm still curious about the
Or
other
for Zika. Wallop used to get that a little extra HP. And Zika really still looking to do some work here onto the Meganar. Zwayon just trying to clear the wave. They're playing Australian mode at this point. The Wallop's not going to connect. Zika doesn't have a ton of gap closing abilities without burning the flash, which could instantly be matched by the Gnar. So it looks like they won't end up going for anything more.
And it will just be calm. No summoners of note being burnt just yet, as we get the very weird but very normal situation of Bard playing on a completely different part of the lane to his ADC. Just means that it's a lot harder for you to exert pressure onto either because of the ability to throw a portal down. Jiejie likely to get this grab, but it's a bit of a scrap.
Yep, Tien throws out the Wind Becomes Lightning, but Jiejie issues the call to pack to make sure that he does not get connected by it. And so it will be Jiejie controlling this top side crab. Both junglers getting out to some early action. So far, the Naafiri ahead, and that is exactly where the Naafiri needs to be to have some impact in this game. When you take a look at what these compositions want to do and how they function, Top Esports much more about the front-to-back team fights, right? Playing with your Ashe Seraphine, using your front line to generate space. Whereas for Weibo's side, a little bit more on, you know, the wild side of things. They're looking for picks. They're looking for public executions, Annie stuns, Bard roams. That's what's going to get them to a 2-0 win.
It does require a lot more chaos in the game plan, which is kind of antithetical to what we had Weibo succeeding with in the first game. It was very regimented, very clear-cut plan, and very well executed. All credit over to Weibo being able to get that first win. So, now the question is going to be, can they flip the script and do it a different way? Something that is more similar to how Weibo have been playing throughout the split so far, but nonetheless much harder to execute on because it gives TES windows to go for outplays.
Tibbers used just for a little bit of wave clear for Xiaohu. And now, Magical Journey in for Hong. They want to make sure that Creme does not have an opportunity to freeze this wave or get his way into a position where the wave is in a good spot. So he's going to have to take a pretty sad back after already burning that teleport just about a minute ago.
Ooh,
execution landing onto Zweon. Zika trying to issue some damage onto the Gnar before he reaches Mega Form. Not going to find any lethal threshold, so Zika will end up backing away. Pretty quiet early game so far, no blood shed in the first 6 minutes.
Do have a portal angle here.
Oh, wow. I thought the Hawkshot would have spotted Jiejie out, but instead it's going to be JiaQi Love force a flash away, use both of his summoner spells, and still die. Elk picks up first blood, and Weibo are on the board first.
JiaQi Love just disintegrated there. His health bar went from 1/4 to 0 in less than a frame. It will give now the current open map for Weibo Tian over stealing a red buff away, and because Jiejie is unaware this is happening, he is not going to be able to counter by just picking up the Dragon. Creme does have the Spirit Rust available to join in on this play if Jiejie is found out, but it looks like it will just be Weibo happily taking the first blood gold on the bottom lane, but nothing else to be found from it as...
Wow. Oh,
they didn't see the
Nefiri.
Only. Oh, wow. That is half a second away from completely killing this play. And because of it, gives the confidence for TES to walk up. And this was Ezreal's W. No, it was just Q plus Nefiri Q. That was crazy damage. Yep. What on earth is this champ?
You proc the mark with your second Q, and that's just enough poke damage. Is now on the top side. Zika gets Nard, but he's going to be happy about that because here comes the Roam squad, right? Here's call to pack issued by Jiejie. Zweon already used his ulti, so he's going to go down again. Jiejie off and running here in game 2 as Weibo get off to an early lead.
Zweon getting a terrible sense of deja vu after basically this exact same thing happened to put him out of the previous lane. This time with a Gnar into Ambessa. There is quite a lot of volatility that can come with a slight lead if Zika is able to push his way into that Eclipse earlier than you secure your first item. It's going to lead to really rough lane states and just getting walked down on repeat. We do have the Dragon available right now. The Grub's about to spawn. Neither team currently representing a push onto that top side. And Elk doing his job, being the weak side ADC right now, and waiting to receive aid as the rest of his team is just kind of standing around getting as much done on the map as they need to with no real threat onto the bottom lane.
Weibo have really been playing these early games well. The record really doesn't reflect that, obviously, because they have not been able to close out a lot of these early games, but we talked about the 5 previously. There's the 2 early games here in this series, and there's the 2 that happened before in a 2-0 win over Team WE. So when you add them all up, this is 9 straight games for Weibo, where the first 10-15 minutes have really worked out for them.
And I want to see if Tian can change that script before we hit the 15-minute mark, because that is where we've seen some pretty ridiculous gold leads attainable by Weibo. And they showed last game they're able to get wins done without that gold lead having to be ridiculous. It was only 1,000 by the time we crested 15 minutes of game 1, and they were still able to walk away with it because they had that winning game plan and that key execution, making sure that Zika was dominating the side lane. Will we see a few more plays from this Bard, from this Nefiri up to top lane? That's kind of the way I'd expect Weibo to play this out. However, we have a lot of leaning on the bottom half of the map. The Grubs are still on the table with these resets coming in from TES's bot lane. This is the usual timer for a support who is now level 6 to run on up there and enable their jungler to do Grubs.
The credit you have to give over to Top Esports is, despite the 2 kills going over, really kept themselves in this game in the farm and experience department. Tian able to have a slight lead over Jiejie in XP just because of the farming that he's been doing compared to the Nefiri's ganking. And the rest of the lanes doing well themselves as well. You know how powerful this trio of Xin, Ashe, Seraphine can be once we get to the later portions of the game. So making sure they don't fall too far behind is going to be critical for Top Esports to find success.
And if top esports are going to find success, it's likely to come through their bottom laner, but JiaQi Love is the target of a lot of aggression.
That's 4 members of Weibo coming underneath his own tower. The Cosmic Binding going to slow, and the second issuance of the Q will finish it off. JiaQi dies for the second time this game, as Jiejie is now 2-0-1.
Does have that hubris already picked up and stacking. Does kind of lean into the bloody style that Weibo want to use in this game. As soon as Neferi gets that tag, it is a lot of AD in the pocket to just kind of throw out ridiculous damage numbers. Hong is here.
Was looking for a play on a Creme, but Tian answers rather nicely. As you mentioned, the 3 grubs already going over to top esports. They could look for more on this play in the mid lane, but the magical journey will send Hong back to base. Looks like things will reset for the time being.
You know what? It was Hung's Electrocute that contributed to that first pop on the bottom lane. I figured there was an Electrocute, but didn't see it, as Creme is suffering
a response. Xiaohu's out of mana, but Tibbers is still going. Creme actually dashes forward with the Spirit Rush to try to issue a charm. Does not find its mark, though. But with the rest of top esports arriving into the mid lane, Weibo are unable to find another kill.
And more credit going over to Hung there with the Tempered Fate to keep Tian out of this play. By muting the TES jungler, that is the snowball tool. Like, Weibo know exactly what TES want to do because it's the exact same thing they want to do. They want their jungler getting some nonsense done in the early to mid game, and then they snowball off the back of it. And so far, they seem to be playing against their mirror exceptionally well.
This is not what I expected coming into today, Melvin. We were like getting ready to crown TES as this, prospective champion, but
do they
really
finish the league without another loss?
The volatility here in the LPL, especially here in Group Ascent. I mean, all the teams, maybe not WE, but the rest of the teams all really can compete with one another.
And it does lean into that kind of punch for punch that we have going. As soon as WE is able to take a game or series, if that does happen, then we'll have the fully completed Circle of Suck to round out the league. But that's a much harder bet than Weibo taking away the full series at a 2-0 fashion, as we do find ourselves now with 1 minute before the Hextech Dragon. With that and Mountain off the table, some more low-powered souls are currently left for the pickup. If TES do put a lot into this Dragon, they may not exactly be rewarded with exactly what they want to find, as it will be just constant poking and prodding from Weibo. Really leveraging this power. We take a look at the jungles, though.
Oh, man. And as soon as that flash comes up for JiaQi Love, he's forced to burn it again. It's not been the series that he's been looking for. Up against Hong on the Bard, his former support from just a split ago. So he'll be forced to farm under his tower, take a big chunk of damage. And that means that this Dragon is really not in a good position for top esports to fight for.
The only saving grace is that Tian currently has smite advantage. Because of how the camps have lined up, Jiejie has not been able to finish off his jungle quest, so he is only rocking a 1000 damage smite, and we know how deadly Tian can be in these straight up even smite fights. So Weibo ideally want to stall this out until that Gromp respawns, so that we can have an even play. Otherwise, Tian must die, or you cannot guarantee this dragon.
Yeah. JiaQi Love having to immediately go back to base after getting chunked out is definitely not going to help them around this mid lane. And now Weibo, they strike first. A flash Tibbers onto the jungler, and Tian is down for the count. Call the pack issued on a Fengyue. He's going to be forced to pop the heal, but it does not matter. L picks up yet another one. And now Creme is next on the menu as he runs underneath his tier 1 turret. Weibo knew they had the numbers advantage for the next few seconds, and they struck at the absolute right time.
Oh, and Elk goes back in. Massive chunk onto Creme. Nearly reads the sidestep there. Would have died to the true shot barrage, but it's still complete advantage state over to Weibo, as it is just a matter of time until they pick up that dragon, and we reveal it's going to be a Chemtech Soul, something that can have a big impact considering there's a Seraphine in the game. But let's see how this played out, because I believe the phrase I used was, and Tian must die, and Weibo took that personally.
Tian definitely did die. 3 flashes onto the Xin Zhao.
Good lord. Oh, wow. Yeah, excellent charm from Creme, by the way, to buy Fengyue a bit more time, but it was not enough. Play just continues going Weibo's favor as we find ourselves cresting 15 minutes exactly with a 5-0, 3.3k gold lead. This is looking like a Weibo win right now. It's going to have to take a miraculous pushback from TES to pull away here.
Could start here onto Xiaohu as JiaQi Love starting to issue some firing shots. The Ranger's focus will allow for him to get that kill. It's going to be all worth it here for this Ashe as Xiaohu had a shutdown, and on the other side, JiaQi was 0-3.
Yep, correct decision to make if you're JiaQi in that opportunity and you see the potential for the kill. Always got to go for that. At this point, one of the things that does, air quote, benefit TES is when you're behind and the enemy have shutdowns, trading 1-for-1 suddenly becomes actually quite positive for you. Not just for the gold, but also for the XP when they're higher levels. So we do find ourselves in a bit of a weird state where Weibo have come into the game with a comp that wants to force chaos. And TES's only angle back into the game right now is forcing chaos. So it's kind of odd. Now Weibo are in a weird position where they're actually kind of chill if not a lot happens and they just rock up to objectives, get Jiejie a reset, and then walk you down from there. So kind of inverted expectations from the moment. We need to see Creme, we need to see Fengyue diving in and getting some degree of play to blow those cooldowns off of Weibo's key members.
So baby steps at this point. We know what this composition can do later on, but we're not at that point right now. As Weon is going to get targeted. Tempered Fate for Hong to delay the turret from taking anybody down. And issues a Cosmic Binding as well. A clinical dive for Weibo up on the top side. As Top Esports will try to respond with a Rift Herald mid.
You actually could not have scripted how that dive played out better than it did. Really just literally perfect execution from Hong. And now opposite number. Fengyue does crash that Herald into the mid tower. Is going to drift it the whole way around to continue that pressure. This is one way back into the game, is by using these objectives and snowballing something on the map. But Weibo is here to fight back. Elk on the way from mid.
Yeah, the turret very durable after taking all of those plates down in short succession. So unable to be that second one going over to top, where on the other side of things, Zika is able to claim the tier 1 for himself on the top side. Arrow does not connect. Elk had cleanse anyway. Now he could still be the focus as Tien is walking around to try to take him out into the river. Elk still has a lot of summoner spells. He shifts forward to try to issue back onto JiaQi Love. But that's another big shutdown towards the Ashe as Top Esports looking to claw back into this game. Now towards the bottom lane, Creme doing some damage in a 2v1 situation against Hong and Jiejie. And all of a sudden, you're feeling okay about where things are at for TES.
JiaQi Love is probably one of the bottom 5 people I want to be free feeding 2 shutdowns into. So yeah, I would feel as good as you physically can be in this game state for TES at the moment. Still losing more ground on the map. Weibo understand that in this current game state, not just this game, but in this iteration of League, if you take your foot properly off the gas pedal, you just lose the game. It is so important to never stop doing something proactive in just the way the game currently works, as Weon is the recipient of that aggression.
Oh yeah, it's been a tough series for Zoyan, as again, one of the players that had a similar rise to prominence a couple of years ago in Zika has had his numbers throughout the day. They get another kill over to Jiejie, who is now 4-0-2. And you could be as powerful as you want to be in this front-to-back composition. Jiejie on this Nefiri is going to continue to be a problem.
Not even completed the boots yet. Likely to go over to some Mercury Treads. There we go. Perfect timing on that one as we see what actually happened up here. It was just Swayon trying to get the cannon. He doesn't even get it. Bless his soul. There's the little Nile. That's the cutest thing I've ever seen. And he's just popped in the river with Hong. Once again, landing a critical stun. That means that Tian doesn't even have a chance to come in and defend his man in the top lane. 9 seconds until that dragon is up. It's only going to be second dragon for either team, so I don't think this is a window where TES want to full send it, but they should probably look to full send it for a pick on the side at least, because everybody from Weibo is kind of hovering on this objective side. It looks like it will just be TES forfeiting their mid lane prio and opting to try and get some tower gold on the top side. Don't hate this at all.
Yeah, just get your carries into good spots. If JiaQi Love can have an Infinity Edge by the time you fight for the Dragon Soul, that's a big win for Top Esports. Right now,
Flank TP
will continue to bleed. Elk immediately cleanses the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and Xiaohu flashes forward on the TN. Pops the Crescent Guard, will be able to heal a little bit with the help of Fengyue, but the support is taken down as well. Gnar into the backline, trying to eliminate Elk. He flashes over the wall as Weon. Gonna be in some trouble as he gets stunned up by Annie's Incinerate, and he will get burned to the ground. It's Top Esports lose yet another member. Xiaohu is at 100 HP, but he's got the whole team on his back. Weibo once again winning the fight. They go 3-for-1.
I'm saying if Hung does not get MVP provided Weibo win this game, it's a robbery. Like, there's been some absolutely disgusting cosmic bindings going on so far, as I'm sure we'll get to see in the replay off the back of that one. It does end up going Weibo's way, as now we find ourselves bigger gold lead, more advantage state. The tower barely goes down. A frame perfect cleanse from Elk means Tian does not get to connect. That wind becomes lightning. He holds on for quite a while using the Sundered Sky to heal up, but Zweon is basically only able to throw his ultimate out. He doesn't even get the combo with a W stun, and it is first stun from Hung, second stun from Hung, and then the chase down to push away and keep his mid laner alive, avoiding Creme just going back in for the single auto attack that would kill Xiaohu. As it's just really impressive from Weibo. Like, I know that we said it after this first game, but I want to keep flying their flowers because this was not on the cards for the day.
I remember Weibo earlier in the year took down Top Esports in a 3-2 series to eliminate them from Split 1 contention. Obviously the roster looks very different, but so far this year has been Weibo favored. As I say that, Hung nearly taken down, but it's going to be retaliated immediately by Xiaohu, going forward with the tippers again. Crescent Guard at just the right time, but the call to pack is issued, and the public execution as well. Zika fully in a 1v4, now going to have to run away as JiaQi has the Rangers focus on lock. Gnar into the wall is going to send down Elk, and he's now out of the fight for the next 40 seconds. Top Esports look like they feel confident at this point. Charm going to land onto Zika. Then you get another one as JiaQi picks up kill number 5. All of TS's gold is into this Ashe, and JiaQi now is set up for success here in this game too.
Been snowballed so much, he has now actually managed to get a gold lead over Elk, who I really do need to see how he died there, because I don't know why he was still standing where he was by the end of it, and I really hope this isn't a mega caster curse over to Weibo. Hung barely gets to creep out of here, and it almost looks like it's set up for some kind of counterplay pick. Elk comes over the wall, and I will just focus on what he ends up doing here, because this is fine. He's pumping out damage. His divers go in, and then we get Zika, who is held down and popped here. Okay, it's a really pretty charm from Creme. Alright, fine. I thought that he right-clicked forwards there when everybody else was dying around him, but no, it was just a real smooth criminal type charm as Creme cleans up this fight. The man in the mid lane who did not do it. Fengyue is dead.
Fengyue is dead.
Cool.
Don't know how exactly that happened, but not great. Baron's on the table
in front
still,
of Baron, yeah.
Like Weibo's going to go for it.
Well, there's the tempo of the game. We're kind of talking about shifting, not anymore. Tian is alive, is very good at stealing objectives. However, Jiejie is also a bit of a lord of the smite, so...
Oh, Tempered Fate, it lands on a TN. That might be the signal for Weibo to try to burst down the Baron, but they end up not doing so, and it will be actually Hong going down here in the fight. The Baron's at half HP, and it looks like Top Esports don't want the aggro to drop. They're going right back to Baron Nashor. True Shot Barrage finds all 4. Zika has the public execution. He's not going to issue it on to TN, but the Crescent Guard will be in response. He ends up taking down Zika, and TN is still alive. He ends up finally going down, but JiaQi got a shutdown, and he's space flattened on Weibo Gaming. Only Elk remains. It's a 1v3 situation, and the Ezreal won't be able to do anything about it. What a fight from top. What a fight from JiaQi, as TES will make their way towards the Baron.
Elk has to limp away at the end of that, as this is TES trying to take back control, as we get to see in the replay. Fengyue hits a blast cone and dies. Okay, yeah, no, that was it. Hits a blast cone and dies. Yeah, the mega zoom in there had me thinking that maybe something bad was going to happen, but it didn't seem to be necessary. Fengyue doing massively incorrect things. They was trying to get vision, but it was alone, so that was the main problem. TES, however, come out on top at the end of it. So we now have taken a look at the game state. Dragon up in 10, and it is all off the back of this slow roll approach from TES. Another charm from Creme to run the fight, and then just playing it from there, using the Baron damage and forcing Weibo to stay around the fight but split up.
You remember what we said, Melvin? This composition for TES thrives in these front-to-back compositions. And look at JiaQi, never targeted, never focused, and he just absolutely demolishes the opposition.
It's always difficult when you don't have traditional frontline. The Narn not exactly able to hold that up unless he is in Mega, which is obviously not all the time. Ooh, big arrow.
The arrow connecting into the charm. Yeah, Creme and JiaQi, the tag team duo, able to take Zika down. Another kill into the hands of TES. They still have the Baron for the next 2, and Zwayan is pushing for free on the top side of the map. Going to be able to get that tier 2, and now for top. Next topic of conversation for them, syncing up the rest of their waves. They got one pushing down bottom, but Hong trying to make a play with his bottom laner, and a teleport coming in from Xiaohu. They land the Cosmic Blinding. The play will be on to the rookie, but he's approaching Meganar. Stun going to connect, but it will be Meganar rock in time. Zwayan might be able to push them away, but it just will be the delay of destiny here for Top Esports. They lose their top laner, but they're getting a lot on the other side of the map.
It's a necessary counterplay from Weibo, but at the end of the day, just with how the game state is, TES, they're in a gold lead now. Like, this is... Yep, that's an LPL gold graph if I've ever seen one myself.
Yeah. Way too simple in game 1.
Yeah, that was honestly our folly there for not predicting, as we get to see the the Weibo can't finish graph. Let's see for them if they can prove that wrong and come back out from a slump here. Picks in the river, TP coming in. Creme is going to be landing in a dangerous spot here.
Oh, look at Zika. He used the blast cone over the wall. Oh, teleport from Creme was way too far forward, and Weibo absolutely collapsed upon it. Now Zika goes in with a public execution. JiaQi getting targeted, but Fengyue is here to save the day. True Shot Barrage not going to be enough, as Zika will fall as well. A 1-for-1, but the Baron is still up for the next 30 seconds. Top Esports likely getting all that they could off of that objective.
And it is Fengyue pouring everything and his soul into keeping the ADC alive there. For heal, the double shield with the Moonstone buff bouncing off of Tian to keep him alive during that full dive. Jiejie not committing over the wall with that Serpent's Fang damage is likely the thing that made the difference there. But when you're looking at an ADC with Guardian Angel at 27 minutes, JiaQi doesn't go down easily. As, right, okay, this is how it started.
It's not a bad look. They get the teleport from Creme, and they end up killing him. But yeah, as you mentioned, JiaQi just way too far ahead in this game at this point.
It was a very odd situation where you want to keep chasing, but as soon as the TP comes in, it's like, wait, this is way easier for us to just kill this person. And then that was the mistake from Weibo, was committing back to the chase. They either needed to commit to the chase and say, all right, Ahri, you're going to have to burn like 2 ult charges to keep up, or turn around and kill Ahri. They tried to do both, got greedy, and ended up getting punished for it.
What a game that this has been.
Whew.
Top Esports trying to find their way back, force a decider, their first game 3 of split number 2. But Weibo still have chances, and most notably, they still have Soul Point. The Chemtech Soul Dragon will be spawning in about 100 seconds. If they're able to win a fight, use that pick potential that they have in their composition to single somebody out before this objective spawns, that could be their way back into this game.
It's going to be tense. It's going to be every single click mattering, as JiaQi's flash is about to be back up. Xiaohu does not have his for at least a minute and a half. Hung does not have his for about 2 minutes. Fengyue, same story. Zwayan's going to be up soon, but not in time for the dragon. Some very vulnerable targets here as Creme throwing a charm out.
Yeah, and combined with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, the target with the Bard, but do you want to burn everything on just the support, Weibo? Looks like they're going to leave everybody up and healthy for now, as the Magical Journey sends them back to safety. Dragon up in 50 seconds, and Top Esports have full control of both the mid and the bottom lanes.
And Creme being a little tricky there, using the Rocket Belt instead of the ultimate to get the initial charm down that Chunks hung out, but considering now he is going to barely be back up in time for that dragon, does mean that Weibo have a brief window where they can try and get some pressure on the map. Jiejie up on this top side, it's making me think perhaps that Weibo is just going to sack the Dragon Soul and say, actually, it's fine if you get one Chemtech Dragon, who cares? They're kind of opening up the map in a really odd angle. Zika does have that empowered TP from the top quest, so will be landing with a big shield. However, TES, all grouped up, all stacked around the Seraphine, it makes them nigh unbreakable as a unit.
Yeah, this is how top esports have to play this composition out, grouped up as 5, and I think Weibo are aware of that, and so are trying to split the map up into 2. While Weibo are controlling the top side, top esports will get their second dragon of the game, but Zika is able to claim the tier 2 turret, get a couple of plates, and allow now for vision around the Baron to belong to their opposition.
It's going to go back to a neutral map state, and as the ebb and flow of the gold league continues, Weibo in control of the gold, but honestly at this point it's pretty negligible numbers. At 30 minutes, anything less than a 5k gold lead is not really much to write home about, as you do have Jiejie, not got a GA, not got a death stance, not really got any resilience in his pocket. Despite being 7-1 on the Neferi, he will just melt if he ever uses that W incorrectly. Tian, on the other hand, does have some very resilient items, and with the Crescent Guard plus GA, means he can be this front line for the team, be that guy that walks him forward and tries to zone off Weibo. If they don't get that first reset, if they don't get that hubris online for Jiejie, then suddenly it's kind of difficult for Weibo to play. Like, the Baron is up and TES are all stacked up. Zwean not being Mega is like the only knock against the comp right now, and it's looking like both teams are posturing for a fight angle right now.
The pick potential for Weibo is there, but with the Guardian Angels on both Tian and JiaQi, that becomes a multifaceted issue. You can't just go onto anyone. If you burn just the GA and the rest of the team is there to collapse, all of a sudden top esports are back in their 5v5, and that's exactly where they want to be. So Weibo have to be very smart in how they pull the trigger, and Xiaohu might be looking for something here. Tempered Fate forces the flash out of JiaQi. That is a big cooldown down. Now on the big carry for TES.
Is going to hold down most of TES's playmaking potential. When you consider all Xiaohu had to do was rocket belt there at the end, he still has the flash, and in only about 10-15 seconds he'll be able to do it again. And what the hell does JiaQi do when that happens? It means that Weibo have forced control over this river, and TES can't need to do something quick.
Yeah, Tian really just pushing the pace. They land the Enchanted Crystal Arrow onto Elk, but the Mikhail's out of the Bard will save Elk from taking any more damage. Now in goes Weibo, trying to regain control of the mid lane. Call the pack issued by Jiejie. He no longer is untargetable. And top esports will gain control and head up to that Baron pit.
Not willing to start it though. When you're looking at some MR shred, you don't really want to have a Flash Annie available on the other team. As Weibo, kind of a similar story. Creme on this Ahri can do so much damage. If he tags and gets a reset for himself, then there's an equal amount of threat. As Hung did have to burn the flash to escape there. It will be a Baron start. They know JiaQi doesn't have flash.
Back in base, he's not going to be at this fight for quite some time, and this Baron is just going to melt. Weibo all of a sudden sneak away the Nash from underneath the eyes of top esports. Now top, they still want to fight this one out. Wind becomes lightning, does not connect, and that's just going to be Weibo getting away with an objective for free.
Complete whiff from TES to not manage the map state better there and make sure they were putting enough pressure on. Even if it was just pushing down mid in recompense, they were just completely caught out. It was only the Hawk shot that revealed it, not respecting how fast a Baron can get burnt down by this Neferi. Means not only is it Baron for Weibo, but that timer will overlap into the Dragon. And with the Baron buff in hand, Weibo have complete authority to play the map how they want to, and so all of the cards are in their hand. They need to do something here. They need to set up lanes, force TES to not be stacked up, because even with Baron buff in your hands, I don't know if you're able to hold off the 5v5 of TES.
What a turnaround here for Weibo. They're winning this late game without playing any 5-on-5 team fights. Tian gets hit up by the Tempered Fate, but the Cosmic Binding does not connect. We also see Zwean pushing on the top side. Forces a response out of Xiaohu and mains that Weibo cannot fully commit for a push on to the top esports base. The Dragon spawning in 45 seconds, that will certainly be the next play, as Weibo will claim this Chemtech Soul if they can pick this up.
Alright, Zwean going out of Mega now means he should be pretty much in time to be ramping up into Mega with a TP angle to join this fight. Xiaohu has already left though, so TES could potentially forfeit the soul and play for both mid and top lane and go for double inhibs. This is a real thing that Weibo need to respect, especially having already used both TPs.
Chemtech Soul, not the most valuable, but still a soul nonetheless, as Weibo are the ones to gain control of this mid lane. Xiaohu with a big tibbers finds JiaQi and Fengyue, but is unable to take any of them down. Public Execution lands onto the Ashe and forces the Guardian Angels way on already in at the Mega Gnar form as JiaQi is awaiting to respawn. Already Fengyue is down to big Cosmic Binding lands, and that's gonna do it. Weibo end up finding the team fight in the mid lane, and Tien is gonna be the last to drop here. 3v1 on the Xin Zhao. He will drop. Elk picks up the gold and a push down mid lane for the Weibros.
It is 40 seconds left on the Baron. Creme against the world does not have flash. Barely will have ultimate by the end of this push. The first respawn is 20 seconds from now. What's he going to be able to do, if anything?
Light lands. There's the shift forward. Creme has to land this charm, and he does so successfully. Onto the Nefiri. Elk shifts over the wall. Forces Creme to go golden. He won't have much left in the tank. True Shot Barrage does not connect, but there's the final Q from Zika. It's a 2v1 with Fengyue about to respawn. In 15 seconds on JiaQi. They're going to go for the end. It's two members here onto the Nexus turrets. Fengyue has to do his best to try to clear this wave out, but he's just a Seraphine, lands the root onto Elk. Nexus towers down. JiaQi still in the death chamber, and that's going to do it. What an upset here in Group of 10 as Weibo turn it on to its head. A 2-0 over Top Esports to get up to 3-6.
Wow, that was so off the cards for the day, but it keeps TES in fashion of only 2-0 games, just not the way they're predicting it. Weibo absolutely close out with style, knowing exactly how they want to play the map, and make sure JiaQi, the most important carry for TES, does not get to use that gold. He had got so many gold injections, picking up shutdowns, being fed kills by the team, hitting those critical arrows. Weibo, identify it and put the kill shot straight through him.
We thought we were seeing a 2-1 or a 2-0. Wasn't like this. This Top Esports enter the day on a 12-game win streak up against Weibo, who has only beaten two teams, and two of the teams that we think are towards the bottom of this group. But what a win for them, and what a way for them to stay alive in that conversation for top 4. You remember that Weibo obviously was 3rd place in the first split of the year, but it never really felt like it got all the way together here in the spring split. This is the Weibo that we want to see. They play more controlled. They understand their win conditions. And what a game from Xiaohu specifically on the Annie. That Flash Tibbers engage won them the fight, won them the game, and won them the series.
Had some very, very close windows to find it, but as not only the sole AP, but realistically the sole forceful engage. You have the Tempered Fate, but a Tempered Fate engage isn't the same as a Tibbers Flash engage, right, at the end of the day. One of them sets you up for something. The other is, I've said we go now or we lose. And Xiaohu pulls that trigger and gets it done with his divers. Is able to hold down JiaQi, is able to tear apart the rest of the team. And while Creme put up a monumental effort with some really spooky sidesteps that almost was able to hold TES onto this series, it was not enough. The execution from Elk and Zika was too much for him.
And yeah, I thought JiaQi was going to run away with this player of the game, end up coming all the way back from being focused down so much in that early game by the Nefiri, by just the bottom lane in general. But man, what a game for Weibo. It felt like, of course, that early game was not going to carry into anything more as Top Esports found their way back in. But it was just a couple of big fights, and that sneak of the Baron that ends up giving Weibo the win. I mean, this has been a crazy day here on LPL English, and all of a sudden Top Esports are going to be left wondering what's next.
I mean, for Top Esports, they hope this is just an upset, the end of the win streak, but at the end of the day, if they just pull out their form and kind of go back to what was working, because in the first game, not using enough of that Tian early aggression. In the second game, Jiejie on this Nefiri, forcing the level 2 invade, getting that winning jungle matchup in those early levels. All it matters is just a few camps different. It means you hit your first item a bit quicker. It means you're over those smite breakpoints a bit quicker when it comes to the earliest objectives. It means that you could get to your lanes and get those early ganks in when they're not expecting it. And that gold graph is just something. The fact that they ended the game with the exact same amount of gold as their peak lead earlier on, it goes to show how much of a fight TES were able to put up for a good bit of time there. But it wasn't enough. Weibo just had that winning macro call and those winning micro executions throughout the end of the game.
Once again, a lot of people you could target for player of the game. You mentioned Hong as a top candidate. Xiaohu really with some game-changing Tibbers ultimates throughout, not just in that last fight, but even in the early game, the mid game. He was always a factor here. Bit of a glow up for him in this matchup against TES. As there's also Elk dealing the most damage in the game, as we saw off a part of this play.
I mean, I also feel like I'm kind of a bit disrespectful as a jungler myself to be snubbing Jiejie this much, considering how much he did throughout the game. He was one of the primary divers and did a lot of the execution value throughout these fights, forcing it forward. While he wasn't the one pressing the buttons first, he was the one finishing most of these plays. Not good timing to show him missing a Q there and Elk having to pick it up at the end. But point stands. I feel like realistically Zika's the only one that doesn't get to stand up there this game, and that's just because he had so much of the game where he was kind of not able to get it done and was the one having to throw his life away in a lot of these plays. So I'm not 100% where it's going to go. As far as player of the match goes, probably Jiejie. It's probably Jiejie, even if he doesn't win player of the game for this one, because the impact and the fact that we came in today with such high expectations of Tian, and he was not able to exert even a fraction of that pressure on the game. Why was that? Partly an underperformance, partly Jiejie doing exactly what we expected him to do. Exactly what we expected him to do. The part we weren't ready for was the rest of Weibo coming in behind him and rallying and being able to execute on the, leads that he generated.
I mean, again, what an ultimate there from Xiaohu, taking both of these bot laners down very low, and Zika is able to finish the job. As for top, you mentioned Tian not really getting off to the right foot here in the early games of either one of these matchups. Zweon, also a very tough series up in the top lane. Seemingly the first real crack in the armor for this rookie top laner that has shown so much promise in his debut split. Obviously, Top Esports still have 369 waiting in the wings, taking a bit of a break right now. For now, they're going to have to rock with Zweon, and all of a sudden, this creates some answers, or some questions, I should say, that TS are going to have to answer as to how to address the way that their top side of the map performed.
And the thing is how much can you actually replicate this if you're other teams? Part of the reason that Weibo were able to get away with this is because they have a jungler who has very similar strengths and very similar weaknesses. And when you get ahead in a mirror matchup, it's very hard to come back into it. And it was just the fact that they were able to generate that early lead, and then the rest of Weibo stood behind them. How well will other junglers in the lead be able to take it to Tian in the early game and find those early invades, find those early skirmishes, go for that silly invade stuff that really does sway the tempo of the game in such a meaningful manner?
Let's take a look at our updated standings right now, just to take a glance at how this affects the rest of the league. Top Esports still are in first place based off of that game score, but Weibo climbing it back up a little bit. They're still in 7th place right now, but the remaining matchups that they have this week, one against IG, who are directly in front of them, and then another rematch against Top Esports, I think, this weekend. So if they can have a good week here, end this one back up at, 5 and 6? That's exactly a position that they were in to get into the top 3 spot in split number 2. They're obviously going to have to get a little bit further than that if they want to have a chance at internationals. But it's a good start for Weibo to build some momentum here as we take a look at our remaining schedule for the rest of the week. We have NIP JDG and WBG tomorrow. Fun day here on LPL English, Melvin, and a great series that means and demonstrates how close it really is at the top of the table here in Group Ascent.
And to kind of emphasize on that top of the table part of it, the fact that TES have to play against AL, who has been on a resurgence before they then get the rematch against Weibo, who just beat them, it's suddenly a very scary week for Top Esports. If you drop all of your tempo right here, and without realizing who they were playing up against next, the description I gave was very similar to that of Tarzan, of another S-tier jungler in the league who can take it to you in those early levels. So, particularly spooky week for Top Esports. They may have got that win streak coming into the day, but by the end of it, there's a very real chance they're on an 0-6 loss streak. And that would change the tempo of the league something crazy.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. This is still a surprising result here. would be, again, still pretty equally surprising if it happens yet again. But we saw how Weibo were able to control the regular season, the playoff matchup against Top in Split 1. Maybe they just have their number this time around going into Split 2. And could be the start of some big shakeups here in the LPL regular season, going into the playoffs as we're just a few weeks away from that. But that's going to do it here for our coverage on the channel for today. A rare Tuesday stream. Only got 4 games, but they certainly were 4 good ones. Thank you so much to everybody who was watching, especially to our Elite Coffee subscribers, Aaron Soup and Mung.